let's have a look at the next question. With reference to International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, or ICAN, consider the following statements. 1. It is an organization of European Union in working under the UNGA and Amnesty International. Second statement, it works for the ultimate ban on the abolition of nuclear weapons. Third, major nuclear powers including the UK and the US have endorsed the formation of a UN treaty to give up the nuclear arsenal or to give up the nuclear weapons. So which of the following statements given above is or are correct? That is, we want to know. So all of us have known what is ICAN. ICAN is the organization which is a non-governmental organization. It got the 2017 Nobel Peace Prize. So that is why this is in news. So anything related to that or anything related to UN treaty on banning nuclear weapons is important. It can be a key area of UPSC. So let's have a explanation or detailed look on this. See, International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, is a coalition of non-governmental organizations. It does not work under any particular union or government or UN. It is a totally independent, a collaboration of many non-governmental organizations spreading over hundreds of countries throughout the world. So this is a collaboration of many NGOs, and what they did was they forced or they endorsed the formation of a United Nations Nuclear Weapon Ban Treaty. So that treaty is really important to us. So again, first statement becomes wrong again. So coming on to the other details, the landmark global agreement, that means the UN treaty on ban of the nuclear weapons, was signed in 2017, last year, on July 7th. And see, many countries are signatory to that, many countries are not signatory to that. So if we know all the nuclear doctrines of different countries throughout, the last 50 years, including non-proliferation treaty and the NSG and many other conventions which all parties have signed it, which all have not signed it, it can really help on deciding which statement is correct. So if we know, like, some of the major nuclear countries, including India, will not adhere to such kind of a treaty, which is led by this kind of an institution or this kind of a non-governmental organization, we can easily guess, like, India always needs a very strong institutional setup or very strong framework internationally, like you have the UNESCO or you have the UN or many other conventions are there, like the Paris Climate or UNFCCC. See, these are having very far-ending reach over the country's administration and diplomacy. So India and kinds of countries related to that, US, China and Russia and UK will never adhere to this kind of treaty in the first instance. They will abstain initially, they will think of it, and then they will declare many statements and many things year by year, and they will try to delay it. So that is what the principle behind this. So easily we can, if we know that kind of thing, then we can easily remove such statements from the given question. So again, moving on to the factual things, ICAN began in Australia and was formally launched in Austria. So don't confuse with Australia and Austria. It began in Australia and formally launched in Austria in 2007. And they were inspired from the success of, again, yet another campaign, that is International Campaign on ban of landmines. Landmines where there were anti-personnels, there were very cruel attitude towards the landmine laborers, in the last 50 years. So they were succeeded, and this took inspiration from them, and they started working, and they won the Peace Award for work to draw attention. See, the thing I have colored is critically important because that kind of statements may come about ICAN. So last two statements is very important. You should register that on mind. Work to draw attention to the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of any use of nuclear weapons. So that is the one thing they won the Peace Prize for. And second was groundmaking efforts to achieve a treaty-based participation. See, treaty-based. There are two types of organization: treaty-based and rule-based. See, like organizations like WTO, it is rule-based. They have a particular rule. And treaty-based is where there is a participation of many countries, and then they have formed a treaty and then they work on the guidelines of it. So this is a treaty-based participation of such weapons. So that is what I mean, prohibition of such weapons. So that is the two main statements we have to remember. If the question comes rule based, there is no such rule. This is a treaty based thing. Many countries are getting participated, and like at least 50 of them should be should ratify that, so that the treaty comes into force. So that is what the importance. And I will have a few topics about this UN treaty in the next slide. This treaty on prohibition of nuclear weapons, or popularly known as nuclear weapon ban treaty, is the first legally binding agreement by the UN to prohibit, comprehensively prohibit the nuclear weapons. So the treaty prohibits the development, testing, production, and stockpiling, station transfer, many things. Anything related to nuclear weapons is prohibited. That is what the treaty says. And leading proponents, leading proponents means who all have ratified, or who all are the leaders to come forward to have this treaty are Austria, Brazil, Indonesia, Mexico, Nigeria, South Africa. Almost all the African countries are there, and almost all the Latin American countries are there. And the major nuclear powers like India, US, Russia, Britain, China, France, Pakistan, North Korea, Israel did not participate. They did not even participate. They were trying to boycott it. India especially were trying to boycott the meeting. They didn't even join because they needed a strong institutional framework. That is what India stated in a press conference. So in any other sessions, I will be detailedly explaining this UN treaty. For the time being, we'll move on to that Ican statement. So the solution to that question, which is related to Ican, is first statement is wrong. It is not under European Union, or it is not under the UNGA and Amnesty International. Second statement, it works for the ultimate ban of abolition of, obviously that is correct. That is they work for. And third one, major nuclear powers including US and UK and US have endorsed. No, they haven't. They haven't even participated. So the correct statement is 2 only. So the answer becomes C, 2 only.